Hey there, I am JP and welcome to Orange County Kingdom. I'm not sure why I didn't wave. Anyways, for today we are going to make a start of the most important thing of our kingdom. We are going to need the most beautiful castle Ylands has ever seen. Now of course that is going to be a tough job because I have seen players who make castles. Those are godlike beautiful. Now there are two ways that we can actually do this. Way number one would be measurize the ground, make a blueprint out of the ground height, take it to the editor, build something, then plop it right down there on the mountain, and that will be that. Or, which would be way better, is way number two. We're going to get as much ideas as possible, because I am afraid if we don't do that, I'm going to be sorry in the end that there are a lot of things that I've missed that should have been in the castle. Now of course I don't want to do this alone. I want to do this together with you guys, and for everyone who is helping out with the castle is going to have the name on the wall of the builders of the castle. So I'm going to think of certain ideas along with you guys that needs to be in the castle to not miss out on the most beautiful thing that is going to be right up there. Take for an example, we're going to need to have a throne room, we're going to need to have a dining room, we're going to need to have a kitchen, we're going to need to have barracks for the guards, we're going to need to have like this crazy wizard potion room, we're going to need to have a dungeon, and or I'm going to need to figure out how we can add some secrets to the castle, like secret pathways or things that are kind of hidden and hard to reach, where maybe the treasures are laying or some other kind of things. So basically for today's episode I wanna, try to get as much ideas as possible. And of course I'm going to keep in mind that this castle needs to be a little bit in the same style as the wall over there, and or it needs to be kinda in the same style as the village that will be built right down here. Now of course in one of the episodes for the other kingdom where we moved away from, we actually made already one house, which is this beauty right down here. So I would like to implement a couple of things if possible onto the castle. I've never really seen a castle with this stuff on there before, but maybe somehow, some way we can implement some ideas of this into the castle as well. Now what I will also end up doing is look for many reference images just to try to get certain ideas what would be cool, right? Now of course another thing will be a challenge is go with the flow of the mountain. Now of course there are a couple of parts here and there that needs to going to be, flattened out, chopped off, adjusted for this whole show. Now one thing is for sure is that the way up to the castle will be from this area. I'm not sure if we're gonna go to this area via this side or via that side. I think maybe what I would rather have is from this side. I think this is a beautiful way to go down and then into the village area. I think it would be fantastic. And this might be the only way how to get up to the castle. Now we have two ways. I like to let myself lead a little bit by the environment. That this way, once you're up, we need to get up to one of these sides. Now what I think would be nice is to keep that side for the most important part and the biggest part of the castle, and keep this side for something else. What else? I am not quite sure just yet. Now how do we get on one of these top sides, right? That is also another thing. And I have been thinking that maybe somehow, some way, after I made the ground nice and cool in order to get up there, is to go up here. So this is going to be flattened out. I need to make something nice out of it, as in, like a ramp up here. And then from up here we are going to need to go with a little bridge to the other side. Now I have been thinking, how can we defend the castle extra? And I think extra would be by building another wall in here with a gate in it. So basically the same idea as that guy right down there. This gate will take care, it's getting harder for the enemy to get into the spot in the first place. And then there will be another gate up there at the end of the bridge, which makes it once again harder for the enemy to get up there. Now I spoke about barracks. You know, we're going to have a little bit of a guard spot up here, and I think that I'm going to chop this pointy thing here and make like a small barracks out of it. You know, there can be a couple of guards staying here that will defend this area, the wall, and right down here, make it hard for the enemy to come up in the first place. And what we can do once again is make another gate right down there. Yes, a lot of gating, and it's all for safety, right? Like a small little gate. It doesn't have to be big. The only thing that is going to be most important is that there is room for 2 of these big doors. These big doors is just enough for carts to come through, horsemen on horses, whatever I can think of. And the same needs to be here. It's going to be super tight, but I think it's for the best. So the soldiers down here have enough time that if they breach this first gate, that they can take down on enemies that are walking right down here, as well as the soldiers that will be on that wall, better to say the archers. They can shoot down on the man here and yeah, trying to hold them off as long as possible. So that could be a plan for this area, right? Now, of course, behind the barracks, we also have a little bit of a downhill type of deal. And I think it would be cool to make like a guard post here, which has a wonderful view onto the ocean and can warn the kingdom as soon as possible if there are enemy ships coming in, right? Alright, so then a bridge, or in this case it will be a wide wall, will be right down here. And from this point on, things are going to be super duper tight, and I don't need to have a lot of area here if it's about like the outside area within. I just need to have enough space for a wagon with supplies, for example, to come in here, to unload the goodies. So we're also going to have like a bit of a storage room. Now what I think would also be fun is to not just flatten out this whole show, but work in layers. I think that would be a very good idea. So I guess coming in with a wagon right down here, a little outside area, then unload some goodies and stuff. Have like a storage area right down here. You just need to imagine it's nice flattened out. And I think it would also be nice to pass through this storage area, right? And then have like a little built-in cave down here where there's going to be the dungeon, the prison, and that good stuff. Then you're gonna go up a little bit with the nice stairways. And in here, it's gonna be super duper tight. Now we could also build on top of the storage area for a bit. So we could also, let's say, realize a room where people are going to have the diner, where there will be a kitchen. Now it would be nice from the kitchen area and the supply room beneath that we could make like a small elevator, right? Where they put some goodies down onto it, bring it up, and then it comes in the kitchen area, and then in the kitchen area they can prepare the foods and whatnot. So that will be for the dining room, the kitchen area. Then we're going to need to have a bit of a throne room. Now, so far from that side to this side is pretty straight on, right? We're going to need to build off-grid anyways, and there are going to need to be certain parts that's going to need to be built diagonal. Like, I'm going to definitely need to lay out the ground and then put it in the editor to get a better idea of how the spacing is. And I'll guess once you come up, there will be a small little front room. And from this front room, we need to have an area where we're gonna go to different bedrooms and bathrooms, that good stuff. And I'll guess at the end of this throne room would be the room of the king. Right, and the room of the king could have like a nice balcony, having a lock onto the bay to say. Then it would also be nice. It's gonna be a super duper tight project, but I think it's gonna be a lot of fun, and it's going to need to be like high towers. It needs to be a little bit, well, like the Disney castle, have all of these beautiful high towers rising to the sky, which I'm waving with my hands down here, but you guys cannot see that. So I guess the first thing that I am going to do right now is measurize the area, and then blueprint it and plop it down in the editor just to see how much space is there and how is the shape. Alright, it might be a little bit difficult to see, which I might have an idea to give you guys a better idea on, what's going on down here. Basically, I had to make multiple blueprints because, the area at first is too big. Also, this whole hill is a little bit diagonal from, the grid. Okay, but basically, I have made 1, 2, 3 blueprints in order to combine the whole show together. Now, I'm just gonna break all of it except for one, and then I'm just gonna add it to the one that isn't broken. So now we have a big blueprint of the whole show. Now what I'm going to do in order to get a better grip is give it a complete different color. There's already some glow, so yeah, so now you got a better idea of what's going on. But just for the sake of it, I've made these one orange because this is the ground that is between. This part down here is the part where I said, we're gonna get up here and then we're gonna make a ramp up here. There will be barracks. There will be this guard post overlooking the ocean. And then down here, we're going to need to make that bridge. And then, yeah, down here is going to need to be the whole castle type of deal. Now, of course, looking from a distance like this, it doesn't look big at all. Yeah, but this gives a little bit of the idea for the shape that we are working with. But let's just forget about that for a second. And I'm going to make a mini build of the idea, what I was visualizing. And this will also give a little bit of a better idea of how the shaping looks like. Alright, so for now, this is very, very, very rough. But what you see down here is kind of the ideas that I was visualizing when I was on the island. So here you have like the first front gate, right? It's a nice thick gate. We'll have enough room so wagons can also go onto here. Then down here, there will be a smaller gate. And then there should be a ramp going up. And then the first thing on the left side will be the barracks of all of the guards that protect the castle. Then in the back of that will be that tower overlooking the ocean. Once you pass the bridge, I need to see how am I going to realize the whole show. But basically, I made like a mini model trying to implement all of the things that I have been saying. So basically, yeah, there are some things that is not very correct because this down here and this is not on the same height. But I've been saying there should be like a storage area, right? So the storage area will be, from this side visible, which is this one block. And then at the end of the storage area, there will be a entrance going into the mountain, and in there needs to be the dungeon, the prison, that good stuff. No, it's not good at all. Down here is going to be the entrance to the whole castle itself. And yeah, I just trying to imagine like, okay, there will be like stairways going up. And then this will be like a small hallway, which will lead up to... let me just see here. Yeah, it's not perfect because from the stairways you also need to have access to this room down here, which will also end up here, which we can have like nice windows with overlooking the kingdom. There might be some small balconies, but this will be the dining room. So it will be a large room. And then this down here is going to be the kitchen area with the shaft that goes down towards the storage area. And from there, stuff can be, put up to the kitchen and delivered to the dining room. Then you're gonna go up further, which you come into, let's say, a couple of guest rooms, a couple of rooms for the workers, like the cooks and, the people that work at the restaurant. People that clean that stuff need to be down here. They're gonna get their own type of balcony down here if they, have a break or don't work for the day. With a nice big balcony, they're going to be, a couple of plants and benches and whatnot. Then further up we have another room, which I'm going to see what I'm going to do. Like I was saying, maybe guests can also be here, but guests can also be further up. So they get like their own section. That might also be a very good idea, to have their own section with balconies and whatnot. This is the whole thing. It's going to be very tough to visualize all of this stuff. It's going to be done step by step. Then up here, like I've been saying, there needs to be a, like, let's say a wizard type of deal, right? We need to have like a potion room. We need to have like books and like this whole mystery type of deal needs to be implemented in here. And then of course, I don't know, a tower on top. Down here at the back, it's going to be the throne room, right? Where the king is sitting, where we have the wall with all of the names on there. We're going to have seats, we're going to have precious stuff. Speaking of precious stuff, I've not been really thinking about a room for treasures. There is still enough time to fantasize and realize all of that. But here in the back, now I had a bit of issue placing down the king's bedroom, bathroom, that kind of stuff. At first I had it down here, because if you look at the shape, the throne room will be here, right? So then you have a little bit of space left at the back. But I was also thinking, mostly in those throne rooms in the back, you have like a ginormous window that let all of this, or leading all of the light in there. So of course there can be windows at the side. But I was like, could there be a way to implement the king's bedroom, bathroom, or whatever not onto the side, which, you know, will be down here. We're going to make a bit of a cliffy, stone cliff type of deal in order to make that come through, which then will have this nice view onto the bay, a little bit into the wild zone and whatnot. A couple of towers. I'm not sure, should I make the towers even higher or even lower? These are all kinds of things that is going to be figured out what would be nice, right? And you know, maybe you guys come up with certain ideas that I didn't think of for the moment, like, oh, we need this or we need that. Do we need to make very high towers? Do we need to break certain structures up more? There's like a balcony here. I'm not even sure. I've just thought, let's break up the boring wall. You know, let's make like a certain balcony here when it's like super duper nice weather, and have the tables out there where people, instead of inside, have the diner, have the diner outside. Maybe this whole balcony won't be that big of a size. Maybe we should put the workers in here and the guests in here. So yeah, there are all kinds of things to, you know, keep in mind building this, you know, ginormous project. And then of course, now I'm looking at it, we have a lot of height difference. I mean, if I make the throne room up here, I'm definitely going to cut away a piece of the mountain. And yeah, so the throne room window will be that way, right? So there isn't like a ton of space, but I'm pretty sure I can work out something with, you know, the whole situation down here. It is definitely going to be a challenge. It's going to be a fun challenge. So in this case, I want to await you guys' ideas. I will do some research myself on windows, doors, hallways, all kinds of stuff that can be implemented to make it look more castle-ish. And then let's see what we have for the next episode. Now I'm thinking of it. We could also implement a wall down there. Then we have one wall though. Because if I make this wall here, you're gonna have a lot tougher time fighting off enemies rather than if the wall is here. We have like, boom, 3 different